Hi everyone, Chris Natzke here with Black Belt Leadership Speaking and Coaching with your Mind of a Champion tip of the week. I don't know if you've noticed this recently, but so much it seems in our lives happens to be in terms of what we are against. If you look at movements, if you look at organizations, if you look at political platforms, etc., so much of our society is based on what we are against. And that doesn't just happen on the macro, it also happens on the micro, in our own lives. When we have challenges that come up, one of our initial reactions is to resist things that we don't want to have happen in our lives. And we continue to push against those. Now, what's so interesting about that is as we do that, and that's a visceral reaction for us to deal with those things. The problem is that when we continue to push against something, more times than not, it just continues to persist in our lives. It's like the old adages that say what you focus on expands and what you resist persists. Now, it doesn't mean that when we have things that happen in our lives that we just put our head in the sand and we ignore them and we just want to be all happy about it. That doesn't mean that at all. It just means that when challenges happen or there are things that we don't want to have occur and we want to have something better, we don't focus necessarily on what we're against. What we do is we take a look at what we're for. You see the shift in the energy there? There's a whole different positive attribute that happens when we're for something versus when we're against something. Because when we're against something, we continue to push against it. And I don't know about your experience, but the more it seems like I do that, the more power it happens to have in my life. It happens to have power in and of itself and power over me. But when I can turn the tables and say, hey, I want this situation in my life to change, but this is what I'm for. These are the positive things that I'm going to be look toward moving into. I'll start to see more of those as well. And nothing, I think, illustrates this point better for me than a story that I heard years ago about Mother Teresa. And it goes something like this. It's the height of the Vietnam War, and protests against the war are at an all-time high in the United States. And someone comes to Mother Teresa and they say, Mother Teresa, as you know, this war is horrendous. We're going to be having a march against the war. Would you please join us in this cause? And she pauses and flatly denies their request. Now they're shocked because they can't believe with all the havoc that's happening in the war that she would be against, she would refrain from being in a march against the war. But then she took a little time and she said, if you have a march against the war, I will not be there. But if you have a march for peace, I will lead you. If you have a march for peace, I will lead you. So my question for you is this week is, as you're looking at your own life, as you're looking at your relationships, as you're looking at your business, as you're looking at all the different challenges that we always have and we always will, are you working against those and fighting against them? Or are you realizing what they are? Are you appreciating them for what they are? And then are you looking at strategies to see how you can turn the tables to be what you're for? Because my experience, my friends, and what I can guarantee you is when we begin to shift this, what ends up happening is we begin to move into our own power. And then what we do is we begin to move forward in terms of what we're for versus staying stuck and fighting against what we are against. So anyway, that's my little message for you today, folks. And I would love your comments on what you think about this. Is this even realistic in our world? But I have to imagine that if we wanted to change in our world, if we want to be a more positive society, a more enlightened society, what we have to do is it has to start with us. It starts with us on the inside, and then in our leadership roles, in our relationships, it begins to move out across the world. So what are you for? What are you for? And let me know in the comment. I'd love to hear what you think. So thanks so much for listening. Once again, this has been Chris Natzke with Black Belt Leadership Speaking and Coaching, and we'll see you next time on the Mind of a Champion Tip of the Week.